All right, guys, welcome, welcome. I hope everyone is having an awesome evening so far. We're going to get rolling here tonight. It is 8:01. We usually like to try and keep somewhat on schedule. I will kind of keep an eye on the attendees, though, and see if there are any latecomers so that everybody's on the same page. For those of you that have just joined in the last couple minutes, first of all, thank you. We're so glad that you're here tonight. Second of all, the way this is going to work tonight is John and I are going to be talking about kind of his journey here, his story about how everything has worked out for them with the show. And if you have any questions, which I hope you do, I always love seeing your questions. What you're going to do is you're going to pop on over to the questions section of the GoToWebinar dashboard. So if you're looking at your screen, it's usually either along the side of your computer screen or along the top. It's the word questions, and there's typically a little arrow that you can press that will expand the section. You'll go ahead and type in any questions that you have for John there. I'm going to keep an eye on that question section all evening, so whatever you type in there, I will be sure to ask John. Also, if you have any comments, concerns, anything like that, that's the place to go as well. So if you are just joining us now, this is what I always like to see. I like to see where you're coming from. Let me know in the question section, city and state that you are attending from and whether or not this is your first webinar. All of you that have done that already, great job, working perfectly. And we're going to get rolling here. Yeah, let's do it. I think we're good. We've got quite a few people on the line here, so we're just going to get rolling. Welcome, Levi. Thanks very much for attending. And thanks, Philip. So, this is the way that this typically works. For those of you who have not attended a webinar before, we're going to spend just a couple minutes talking about SDI because we never know where you're coming from, so we never really know if you know anything about the school. I promise I'll keep it brief because we want to get to the meat of this whole thing. So, for those of you who are not familiar with SDI, we are an online firearms technology school. All of the coursework that you would take at SDI is done online, and tools and materials are then shipped to your door for you to complete your lab work and all that good stuff. Exams, tests, things like that, your reading materials are all accessed, available in our online classroom. And it's pretty flexible within the day, although you do have to meet weekly requirements. So it's really good for people who have full-time work schedules or military deployments or family obligations, anything like that. You get to kind of pick and choose when throughout the day you learn. As long as you're meeting those weekly requirements, you're totally good to go. We have a couple different programs and course options for you. As you can see there, they're listed, and I want to spend the most time on those top two: Associate of Science in Firearms Technology degree program and the Advanced Gunsmithing Certificate program are our two largest credentials. The degree program is a 60 credit hour course, and the Advanced Gunsmithing Certificate is 32 credit hours. There is a little bit of gen ed work in the degree program, but we do take transfer credits in if that applies to you. Those two programs are approved for use of most TA and VA benefits, and that degree program additionally has been approved for eligible students to take part in federal student aid. So that's typically what you would think of as financial aid, Title IV funding, etc. If that helps you out at all, we are more than happy to walk you through any of the funding side of things, enrollment side of things, any questions you have on the programs or course offerings. I'm just going to quickly go through these other ones as well. We have a ballistics and reloading certificate, an AR-15, an AR-10, and a 1911 advanced armor course. However, the 1911 course can only be taken right now as part of the degree program or the Advanced Gunsmithing Certificate program. We may bounce that back out into a standalone course again sometime soon, but as it stands right now, May 23rd, 2017, it is only part of the degree program for your capstone course. So still accessible there. We just had a little bit of a hiccup as far as fulfillment goes, so getting the tools to people with our manufacturer, but we are getting that ironed out as we speak. Last thing down there, field study externships are super, super cool for people in the Advanced Gunsmithing Certificate or the degree program. You do have the opportunity of working with one of our field study partners for a 2 to 4 week on-site externship type of situation where you would actually go on location with these people and learn what they do day in and day out for 2 to 4 weeks. Our partners have different specialties, so sometimes it could be CNC machining, sometimes it's Cerakoting, sometimes it's retail, sometimes it's, we've got just straight up gunsmithing. Depending on what your goals are, where you want to end up, where you live, all of that good stuff. We hopefully have a good partner to meet your need there. We have about, I want to say last time I checked, 17 or 18 of them. Don't quote me on that though. Go to sdi.edu. Up in the right-hand corner, there's a current students button I want you to press. That will have a field study button that'll take you to all of the information on who the partners are, where they are, length of program, all that good stuff. It does not cost any additional tuition. However, the student is responsible for travel and lodging during the length of that field study. But if you're looking for hands-on, on-the-job training, these things are super, super cool. We've got a student right now going through one in Miami, Florida. He is loving it so far, so we love to hear that. If you want more information on that, field study at sdi.edu. And for any information at all about any of the coursework or funding opportunities or anything like that, go ahead and reach out to admissions@sdi.edu. They are more than happy to help you with anything. Okay, so let's go ahead and get launched. John, I see you're off mute. That's perfect. I'm going to toss it over to you. We have Jon Sissney on the line with His and Hers Outdoors. And John, I'd like you to start a little bit with just kind of a brief, almost like a family history or a you history. Let's get started with where this, not even where the show started, but where you started as far as a hunter and how you got into this side of things. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and take it away from here and give us a little bio.
Good. I'm glad to be here, and thanks for setting this all up. And
absolutely,
look forward to hearing all these questions and answering any questions anybody might have. But I was born and raised in Northwest Oklahoma, and you know, in our small farming community. And it's, you know, one of those places that, you know, your free time you either fished or you hunted. And, you know, at an early age, my grandpa, my uncles, stuff like that would always take us hunting and fishing and stuff like that. So that's how I got started. And of course, the older I got, where I got to be to the point where I was doing it by myself, that's when I really started growing more into it. And that's how I you know, got really started in, you know, the passion of it all. And later in the years, you know, got to a point where I was, you know, really concentrating more on just bow hunting, and got into archery really heavy, and just things really started growing from there, actually.
Very cool. And then how did it work out with you and Stacy? I mean, when did this become a family affair for you guys?
Well, it's actually, like you said before, it's kind of a funny story, and how the actual whole show started and whatnot. But you know, Stacy grew up, and unfortunately she couldn't be here, you know, tonight on the webinar with us. But I actually have her on speakerphone with me right now, so maybe.
Cool.
So she's going to chime in every now and then, and
okay.
And whatnot. But Stacy's originally from Wisconsin, and you know, after we married 15 years ago now. Gosh, it seems like yesterday. But you know, she always had the passion to fish and stuff, and her family hunted and stuff. But you know, up north, you know, it was one of those things where they had deer camp and stuff like that, and so it was like a guy's thing only. And so she never really had the opportunity to just go out and explore those passions and stuff that she had for hunting and fishing. And so when we got married, that was one of the things that I loved to do, and so I started taking her more and showing her more, and you know, she's turned out to be quite the hunter and the outdoors woman herself. And so that's what really started it off for us, is when we started doing things more together, you know, hunting, fishing, and we started filming some of our stuff. And then, of course, when social media came around, you know, you started sharing pictures and stuff like that. And so we always talked about, you know, wanting to do a TV show one day, but we had no idea, you know, anything about it whatsoever. And so
right.
We had a group of other people that was doing it with us, and eventually you get to the point of, you know, who's right and who's wrong, and there was too much bickering going on. And so, you know, we decided to do it on our own. And I was talking on the phone one day with Stacy, and I was like, you know, let's do it on our own. And I was just kidding around. I said, we'll just call it His and Hers Outdoors. And to be honest with you, it stuck, and we started thinking about it. You know, that was a cool little, you know, niche for us. It has both sides of, you know, the guys and the girls, not just, you know, the guy and a girl, but the girls can do it themselves and the guys can do it ourselves, and we can show a different aspect of it. And so it stuck, and now we're season 7 and working on season 8. Time flies, and let me tell you something. It was a lot of learning and a lot of uphill battles and a lot of mistakes we made in the first few years, but we definitely got it working from here on out.
Absolutely. And so take me back. You got married 15 years ago.
Right.
So pre-season 1, how did it work? Like, when did you guys look at each other and thought, we should get a camera out? How did that go down?
Well, I mean, it was more the watching the stuff on TV. We was watching hunting shows all the time on TV. And, it was like, oh, man, we'd love to do that. And so next thing you know, you buy a $400 handy cam and want to go out and try to do it yourself, and you have no idea how to do it. You don't even know if you're doing it right. It's just you look at it on your computer like, oh, man, that's cool. And then you start putting it together, and then when you put that first TV show together and you put it on TV, you're like, oh, my goodness gracious. You're scared to death, and you don't know if you're doing it right, and you're afraid what other people might think. And then, we learned a lot, from our mistakes, and whether it be mistakes in the filming side or mistakes in editing side or just the whole process of putting the show together or how we did it. And so there's a lot of things that we had to learn, and it was just a process, to be honest with you. And like I said, it's been up and down, but we've had so much fun with it now. We have a daughter now that's she'll be 12 here in August, and that's the cool thing about it is when we started the show, she was what, 5? Yeah, 5, I think. And so she was right there with us for a lot of it. So that was the cool thing is we have all these memories of her hunts, because now from that point when we started the show till now, we filmed everything that she's done, whether it be her first time to ever hunt, to her first fish, to this, to that, to this. And so it's something that it's dear to Stacy and I, because we have all these memories now that of her and her accomplishments, and later on in life she gets to share those with her kids and her family later on. And so it's kind of cool to watch it all develop. And we put a show together a year ago of Mason's first hunt to her hunt last year, and just watching her progression from her first time and her first talking on camera to now, it was actually really cool to see.
Very cool. And as far as the show goes, you said you've learned a lot and kind of learned from your mistakes and everything. What's the current and I guess the previous layout for the show? I know that you've said you've had a couple format changes. So how did it progress from its first iteration to what's going to be in season 8?
Well, when we first started, we wanted to be like all the other shows, so we watched TV shows, and so we tried to mirror ours around those, and it got to the point where we didn't want to do that anymore. We wanted just to be us. We wanted to be real. We wanted to, and of course that's kind of our hashtag, real lives, real families, and real hunting. And we wanted to show, the aspect of this is not our full-time job. We each have, that's part of the show. We all have jobs, whether it be a stay-at-home mom or, like me as far as a mechanic and the things that I do, and Josh, that's part of our show. He's a regional sales manager for a big company, and so we wanted to show that aspect of our life, that we're real, just like the people that are watching our show. We're real, just like the next person that wants to be in our shoes. We're just everyday people, and all we did is we went out and we chased our passions and our dreams, and we set a goal and we went after it. And so we wanted to show that side of it. And so the last couple of years, that's how we've trended our show. Is it's real. I mean, what you see is what you get. It's not scripted. We're not trying to be anybody. We're not. If you see us on a show and then you see us walking down the street, we're going to be the same person. And so we wanted to stress that, and we wanted people to see our family life. We're just everyday people, and so that's what we wanted, and that's how we've changed it, moving forward.
Very cool. What was the process? Talk me through some of the growth. When you first started making these things, what was that like to put that out on social media? How many people were watching it? And then how did you, now you've got millions of viewers, right? So what happened there in the last, 7 or 8 seasons to get you from point A to point B?
Well, when we first started, we aired locally here in Oklahoma. We live in Oklahoma City, so it's actually a pretty big TV market. It's the largest in Oklahoma, and so we went to the local TV stations and decided, hey, because at the time you could buy, and you still can, you could buy what's called paid programming, and so you just go in there and you pay for your TV time, and you can air your infomercials or you could air your hunting show, and so that's what we did. And at first, that first year, it's hard to tell how many people watch the show, but we knew that people were watching it because we was getting feedback through social media and stuff like that. And so the next year we decided to go regional, and so we went to Fox Sports Southwest. That way people in Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and New Mexico and stuff like that could watch our show. And then we stepped up to national, and that's when we went to Pursuit Channel a few years ago, and that's when our audience really exploded, because now, Pursuit Channel, I think, currently is roughly, 40 million homes it could potentially reach, with all their avenues of ways to watch, whether it be DirecTV or Dish or other cable providers. And so going that route, it really, really helped us open up the door to a whole other audience other than just Oklahoma. It opened up nationwide, and the more that we aired and the longer that we was on, we started getting an idea of where our core audience was, and where the areas that we really need to concentrate on to try to reach more people. And so we learned a lot there, and so moving forward every year we try to reach more viewers and get more people that access to be able to watch our show.
Very cool. What was the process like aligning with the Pursuit Channel?
Actually, it wasn't that hard. I mean, it was more nervous than it was anything, because it's a big step.
Sure.
And people don't realize, doing a hunting or fishing show, it costs money. We hear it all the time. I bet you guys are making a lot of money being on TV. No, that's not the case when it comes to hunting and fishing shows. I mean, it's more of, like I said before, we buy our TV time. So we go to Pursuit Channel and we negotiate a time and a slot that we like, and they tell us the rates, and we negotiate the rates, and then we have that TV slot, and we're in that TV slot in their format. We're allowed X amount of commercials or commercial spots within that 30-minute time slot. Well, that's how we're allowed to pay for our production and pay for that TV time, is we try to sell those advertising spots. We want to try to entice people that would like to advertise on our show or reach our audiences. And so we go out and we try to partner with people just like you guys to try to get, how do I even put it? Get your logos or your companies or what you're selling or what you're trying to, the audience you're trying to reach. That's our goal. That's what we try to do. And so that's how it works. So it really wasn't that hard of a thing. It's more nervous. You get more nervous about it because when you jump from local to regional to national, it's a big jump when it comes to dollar figures. And so when you do that, it's like, man, now you really got to jump up this and you got to jump up that, and this has got to be more. And so there's some sleepless nights, when you first sign that contract, thinking,
oh, sure,
we do this, or are we going to do this? Because it's not like, okay, you get the money first and then you go do it. You got to take that leap of, you got to retain your TV time first, because I think the last check.
Otherwise, what ad space are you selling?
Correct. Exactly. And so, I think that at one point someone said there was like over 400 outdoor TV shows, whether hunting and fishing, across the board. And so those shows are competing for those air times too. They're wanting to buy those air times. So it's a first come, first serve type thing. It's like going to the grocery store and you find something hot. You got to either jump on it and say, yes, I want it, or take it off the shelf and go buy it, or someone else is going to come right behind you and pick it up. So
right.
That's the biggest thing about it. And so, it's a job in itself, and it can be stressful at times, but it could be fun. The fun part, obviously, is the hunting and fishing side of it. The stressful side of it is actually this time of year right now, where we're about 5 weeks away of before we start airing the new season. So it's at a rush to make sure we get everything done and get this done and do that and do this and make sure everything's right for the network. So that makes it tough and stressful at times, especially like right now with myself traveling out of town for my real job, and people like Josh, which is part of our team, he's traveling a lot. Stacy, our daughter now is playing competitive softball, so she's on the road a lot while I'm away taking her to softball. And then Christy, she's got twin girls and they're doing 4-H stuff and stuff like that. So our time between family and this and that and work and is split up all around, and so our time to work on the TV show stuff is cut even shorter this time of year, and so it makes it a little tougher. But we all manage, we all pitch in as a team, and we all do what we need to do to make it work. And that's the best part about the people we have on our team is, we're a team. We're not even really a team. We're a family, and we all get along. We all, share our lives with one another, and so we all pitch in and help and chase this crazy, crazy dream of ours.
Absolutely. And how much time, so once you get everybody together, you set up a trip, a hunt, how much time does it take to boil down into, 30 minutes or whatever your exact minute format is of viewing time? You know what I mean? What does that look like, taking it from raw data down to a package?
Right. Well, you have roughly 21 minutes and 30 seconds of a 30-minute show that actually is played, roughly. The rest of it is pretty much commercials. It takes, if you're going to make a really, really good show for 21 minutes, you have to have roughly, on the low end, 3 hours of footage.
Right.
3 hours. That's cutting it close. We really like to have about 5 hours of footage. So if you go hunting, you go on a trip, you want to film everything, whether it be from the time that you're getting ready before you go, the preparation of, say, practicing with your bow or sighting in your gun, or just packing for your trip, you're driving to your trip, getting your tags. We try to film all that stuff so that way we have plenty of material to fill in for the show and tell a story, because that's our main goal is to tell a story too. It's not about just, okay, we show up, boom, there's the animal, boom, it's over with. We want to tell a story of why we're doing this, how we're doing it, how long we're going to do it, who we're doing it with. And so, we got to film all that stuff in between time, not just the hunt. The hunt is just the small part of it. It's everything else that actually makes the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And how does it work from a team perspective? Are you all on all of the hunts? Do you group off into 2s and 3s, and then at that point, who handles the camera? Who is in front of the camera? How does that work, logistics?
Well, a lot of times, there's many times that we can't even get together to hunt, for all of us hunt as a group. We're stretched out across the United States. Josh is in Idaho. Stacy and I are here in Oklahoma, and then Christy is in Texas. So a lot of times it's tough for us to get together and film. Josh is a genius when it comes to self-filming. I don't know how the guy does it, but he does a heck of a job filming himself and be able to hunt and film. When Stacy and I go hunt, we try to trade off at times. If we go together, I'll film her, she'll film me, or we have a couple of dedicated camera guys that tag along with us and that film us too. That way we can both be on camera. And Christy, she does a lot of her own stuff, but also her husband Billy jumps in and helps. And her twin girls are getting really good with the camera too. So they're the same age as Mason. They're getting ready to turn 12 years old, and so they hunt and fish with mom and dad, and so they've been helping run the camera and learn more about the TV show. So it's, like I said, it's a family affair, and we try to do it all in house. And everybody that we have involved with this is real good friends or our family or something like that, and that's how we get it done. But it's it can get pretty crazy sometimes on hunts, especially if you have like this picture here you're showing here, like a duck hunt. That gets pretty crazy, trying to film fast action duck hunts. So it takes a lot of people and a good cameraman to do that hunt. It's tough. Doing a deer hunt's a little different than doing a duck hunt. Deer hunts, you're obviously sitting in a stand, a lot of, excuse me, a lot of downtime.
Sure.
But a duck hunt, it's, a good duck hunt, you got action all the time in your face, and so you don't really have that downtime, so you got to be quick on your feet. And so that's when we really rely on camera guys and people that have a lot of experience with that kind of stuff. So it kind of goes both ways. We kind of do a lot of it ourselves. We try to, but there's times that we got to hire people to help us and to make it work.
Sure. Okay, cool. I've got a couple questions about YouTube. So Floyd wants to know if your videos are on YouTube, and Chris wants to know if you have plans to build your YouTube channel. I don't know how that plays into what you do with the channel, if it's two completely separate things. I know you, am I getting this right? You used to have YouTube videos up. How does that that work together?
We're actually we just got done building a brand new YouTube channel.
Okay, cool.
With the new logo and stuff like that, and it's basically just his and hers Outdoors TV YouTube channel. We have a few videos on there right now, but as soon as season 7 starts here in July, after the show airs on TV, a week later we'll have our episodes on YouTube, and also we'll have those linked on our website. We've been building for the last couple months a brand new website. We just now launched it. It's still a work in progress, but we're adding some different links on our website, not only just to go directly to our YouTube page, but also places where you can buy hats, t-shirts, stuff like that. We get a lot of people asking about that, and so that's something new we're doing this year, is actually adding a marketplace where people can buy stuff, buy gear. But we also have a Vimeo channel, just his and hers Outdoors TV as well. A lot of our old stuff is on there for the last few years. It's on there as well. We're also going to be putting our shows on a web-based TV channel called Hunter Vids, and you'll be able to watch all of our shows there as well.
Very cool. And that doesn't have any effect. Is it typically then once the episode airs, you take it and you put it on all those different places, or is this going to be supplemental stuff?
No, this will be complete episodes. So as soon as they air on TV, we'll have complete episodes on YouTube. Obviously, they'll be condensed a little bit. We'll take out some of the commercial stuff, stuff like that, because people don't like watching commercials, and we all know that. But it is what it is, and plus on top of that, it cuts down the time, sitting in front of your computer and watching. And so, we'll condense them down a little bit, but they'll be complete, full episodes. We'll have them on, like I said, YouTube. They'll be on Vimeo. They'll have links on our website, and also Hunter Vids.
Okay, cool, awesome. What's the planning process like for you guys? How far in advance? You're working on season 8 right now. When does the season actually start? And then basically, I just want you to backtrack me from there.
Well, see, right now we air July through January. So we air for 6 months out of the year. So usually, all the hunts from last hunting season will be aired this hunting season.
Yep.
So basically, while we're out hunting, we're showing you last year's hunts, and so next year when we're out hunting, we're going to show you this year's hunts. And so it's usually about a year out. A lot of times you'll get a lot of new stuff. Like right now, I'm currently in Florida doing some work, and so I've had the luxury of having some days off. So I spend a lot of time on the water doing some fishing, and we filmed a couple of shows, and so that stuff you're actually going to see in the first few weeks of the new season, and so it's going to be fresh and new. I mean, you'll see it on social media and think, wow, I just seen that a couple months ago. Now I see it on TV. But as far as like some of the fall hunts, we have some really cool fall hunts from last year. Obviously they're about a year off, but we have to do it that way. I mean, it's so tough, not only just the filming and traveling and hunting, but also it takes time to produce a TV show. It roughly takes about a week to do a show, but then you have all the other elements involved, whether it be building graphics or doing voiceovers or doing what we call transitions within shots and color correction and sound correction. I mean, we can edit a show and put it together, but now you want to make it right. You want to make it perfect, and so that's what takes a lot of time. And so we want to make sure we have plenty of time to do that, so we're not rushed. If we was hunting and then hurry up and have to do it, it just, in our mind, the quality wouldn't be as good and as up to our standards. So we like to take as much time as possible. So that's the reason why we usually drag it out for a year, and that way we get the most out of it.
Sure, and that makes sense because I would think that doing it like that, it takes away your safety net. You know what I mean? You'd have to essentially be producing
Correct.
episodes during the season, which is just
Correct.
terrifying.
And here's something else that people don't realize is when we go to hunt, we're not successful every time. I mean, it still is hunting. So I mean, if we take 15 trips a year, there may be some years that we're 15 for 15. But there's some years we take 15 trips and we're only 6 for 15. So, that also gives us time to backfill, to find another hunt or find another adventure or find something else that we can do to fill in that gap of not being successful in this hunt or not being successful in this hunt. And don't get me wrong, we've aired shows that we didn't have a kill because of a unique story or a unique background about the situation or something like that. And so, that goes back to the whole fact of us trying to keep it real, that it's not about just going out and killing an animal. We're telling a story. So sometimes in real life that happens. I mean, the average hunter doesn't kill everything every time that they go out. They don't harvest that big buck, or they don't catch a limit of fish. And so we show the same struggles that the everyday person has as well, because we want people to relate with what we're doing in a real manner.
Very cool. I've got a hunting question here, but Philip just chimed in with a different one that I want to follow up on. Basically, it has to do with what we were just talking about. He says, is there pressure from the networks to get the big shots? He read that the Stars on the Hunting and the Sticks show have been busted for, poaching elk and, all this stuff. People have been losing hunting privileges. Do you get pressure at all from Pursuit, or is it you buy the slot and they leave you be? You know what I mean? You have carte blanche when it comes to your content.
Well, no. I mean, obviously we gotta do everything within the law. Obviously, when it comes to hunting, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a TV show or not.
Right.
But the network has policies as well too. Of you can't show certain things, and obviously you don't want to show an animal suffering, which no one wants to see that. You can't, do certain. I mean, it's just ethical things that you got to make sure.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest things that I see that a lot of people do is just safety issues. Like tree stand safety. A lot of times you see people on videos hanging tree stands and not wearing a harness, or sitting in a tree stand not wearing a harness. Well, that was one of the big things with Pursuit Channel is they will not air any footage whatsoever with us not wearing a safety harness, because they don't want to reflect on their viewers that it's okay for them to do this, because they don't want viewers getting hurt, thinking that it's all right. They've seen Jon doing it on TV, so they can do it. So, we respect that. We get that 100%, and we want to make sure that that we can do the right thing too, because we don't want to send any mixed signals across to anybody. And furthermore, on that question that they submitted was, about people, stories and stuff like that about people getting in trouble for poaching. Doing a TV show, and a lot of times with some of these shows that you're reading about, a lot of that probably has to do with just the pressure itself of performing for the TV show. That goes back to that situation of, like I spoke about not having footage. When you're under a deadline to try to do this because you've got X amount of dollars and did this and did that, then you got to produce. Some of these shows, if they have a bad year, they don't produce, and sometimes that puts hard circumstances on somebody, and maybe lead someone to do something that's a little questionable, or may get them in trouble. The cool thing about what we do is we have 4 people, and generally, even if we have a bad year, say I have a bad year, Stacy has an awesome year. Stacy has an awesome year, Josh will have a bad year. We have people that'll pick up the slack for us, and then plus we're not just a hunting show. We're not showing just hunting videos. We're showing fishing. We're showing hunting. We're showing trapping. We're showing whatever it may be, just outdoor adventures itself. And so that opens up to so much more other opportunities and whatnot. But again, people do look at the shows and look at them different, and there's a lot of shows out there that's done some crazy things, and it's made it tough for other shows. You have one bad apple, and it ruins it for a lot of people. And so, we got to just do what we do and keep doing what we're doing, and we try not to get into much of that, and try to stay away from some of those bad apples and just do our own thing.
Absolutely. Jason wants to know how you go about getting hunts from different vendors, so to speak. I'm assuming, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, you talking like hosts or people to take you out different places potentially? I think that's what he's kind of talking about. How do you book your events, really?
Well, I mean, a lot of times we do a lot of our stuff on our own private property, or like a lot of our stuff out west, we just do all national forest and public ground. When we go elk hunting in Idaho and our bear hunts in Idaho, it's all public ground. It's national forest. There's some times that we do some hunts with what we call outfitters or stuff like that. Like last year, I drew a Wyoming elk tag, and I had an outfitter take me, and let me tell you, it's one of the hardest hunts that I've been on, physically and
Yeah.
mentally. And so it was one of those situations that a lot of times the reason why we use an outfitter is because they know the lay of the land. They know the animals. They know the area. And so us going out to, say, Wyoming, a place we never hunted before, it would take us 2 weeks just to figure everything out and figure out how these animals are moving or what's the best situation for us. And a lot of times we don't have 2 weeks. And so we go out and we spend 5 to 7 days with an outfitter that's been hunting that area for 25 years. He knows where these elk are going to be migrating through, where they're going to be at, where they seen these elk at 5 days ago and whatnot. So it's a big plus for us, especially with our busy schedules, not just with the show, but also with our work and our family life. So sometimes we have to go to some of these outfitters, which it's great because they become partners with us as well. We're helping them just as much as they're helping us. We're getting their name out there and telling people about a great hunt or a great time we had. And so in return, we're hoping that people will book the hunt just like we did and go have a great time and a successful time like we did as well.
Perfect. Yeah, Jason had a follow-up, I guess a follow-up note here. He was like, yeah, he's from Oklahoma, and basically how does he get hunts down in Texas? Jason sees many shows where they're invited to different places to hunt. Are those people typically actually invited, or are they paying them? It sounds like what you're saying is you guys will actually hire out scouts,
Right.
guides, etc., right?
Right. Yeah, we have some opportunities. Sometimes people will call us or want us to come down and hunt with them, and there's so many places in the United States nowadays to hunt, and outfitters and guides and stuff like that, and that's their business, that's their livelihood. They sell hunts. There's a lot of times that we get those hunts for free, but it's not necessarily really for free, because what we do is in return we advertise for them. We produce a TV show. We spend our time hunting at their place, and we get that all the time. Oh, I bet it's nice getting all these free hunts. It is, but then again, it's not really free, because when you start thinking about it, we have $10,000 in camera equipment, and then we have the fuel and time getting there, time off actual work, paying a camera guy, and all of your expenses and stuff like that. And so, it's not necessarily free, and but the discount of not having to pay the outfitter plus doing that is obviously a big plus for us. In the same time, we're promoting that outfitter on social media. We're promoting, on our website, on the TV show, and obviously we're showing, if we have a successful hunt, we're showing our millions of viewers that particular hunt at that particular ranch with that particular guide. And if it's a great hunt, then maybe they're calling them up and saying, hey, I want to go on that hunt. And so, that's a return, that we offer them by them offering us, a free of charge.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris wants to know what your favorite animal is to hunt and why.
That's a tough one, Chris. I love the outdoors, but I tell people all the time there's two animals that I love whitetail hunting. I do, and that's probably what I do most of. But the two animals I love hunting the most are elk and turkey. And the reason why I tell people all the time they're you're gonna laugh, but they're similar. And the reason they're similar is because at the right time in the season, you can call to a turkey and you can call to an elk, and they respond. They respond back to you. You can call them in, or you can't call them in, and they'll just sit out there and holler back at you. And it's a chess match. And I actually love turkey hunting. Springtime I love turkey hunting because I tell people all the time I love to hate turkey hunting because I love hunting them, but I hate when I have a hard time hunting them. Or I get a wise bird and he don't want to come into the calls or whatnot. And same thing with elk hunting. You go out to the mountains and 1st of September, mid-September when the bulls start bugling, and the first time you hear a bull bugle, it just sends a chill down your spine, and it's just something that it gets into your blood and you can't get out. And when you call one in to 15 or 20 yards and they're screaming at you in your face and you're just waiting for that opportunity for them to turn their head so you can draw a bow back to shoot them, that's what it's all about. And so I won't say it's a hard first and second, to choose in between, but I'm gonna say elk and turkey are probably my two favorite animals.
Cool. I've got some pictures of you turkey hunting in here somewhere. We'll probably get to them at some point. Philip's got an interesting question here. How much of an impact on the environment do you think will happen with using poison on wild hogs down in Texas, and what's your general take on the situation? Do you know much about it? Do you have opinions?
That is a great question, and we can go on this for about hours and
right.
this topic and give you a little background. I sit on the board of directors for Safari Club International here in Oklahoma, and obviously if you guys know what Safari Club International is about, we're about conservation, the wildlife and preserving our rights to hunt and the things that we do. That has been a big topic the last few years, is the wild hog population in Texas and Oklahoma. I think one of the reports I read, there was like close to 2 million hogs in Texas alone, and if you know anything about hogs whatsoever, they reproduce rapidly fast. I mean, crazy, and the damage they cause to crops
is destroy, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Our good friend Rustin Morgan with Dry Creek Outfitters down in Wichita Falls, he's been doing this 4 or 5 years now, but he hunts hogs year-round with thermal imaging scopes at night, and I bet he does it 340 nights a year, and every night that he goes out, he shoots at least 5 pigs, sometimes 15 to 20 pigs every night.
Oh my gosh!
Every night in the same location, and within the same 25 miles of Wichita Falls. So when you look at that, you would think if you have a guy that's shooting 5 hogs a night, sometimes
right.
20. At that many times 5 years, how many hogs is that? And then every night he can still do it over and over and over.
Right.
The population is crazy. But the poisoning of hogs, in my mind, and it's just my personal opinion, I think is a little crazy. For one, it's not safe. It's going to affect other wildlife. It's going to affect livelihoods, so to speak. With some of these people out down there that actually do this stuff for a living by trapping and make their living by shooting hogs. And they're doing it to keep the population down too. But trying to get rid of them, eradicate them that way is just not right. I think there's a lot of other ways that we could do it other than that. Basically, the poison they're going to use is basically like a industrial strength rat poison, and it's not going to be good, because anything that's ever been dealt with poisons or chemicals that has to do with wildlife, it's always hit somebody in the butt. And I just don't think that this is going to go well in this situation. So that's my biggest thing about it. And in Texas, down there, I mean, especially like in West Texas and stuff like that, there's not a lot of crop ground, so to speak of, like there is in the Midwest with the deer hunting. So the hunters down there rely a lot on protein feeders and feeders. And so when you have hogs that are sharing the same feeders, and I understand that, they say that it's safe, but what if they're wrong? What if it just tears up the deer population?
Right.
Now that's going to be crucial to not only the hunters, but now it's going to be crucial to the Department of Wildlife of Texas, because if your deer herds are down, people are not going to buy a license to go deer hunting anymore. You're not going to have the income of people coming from out of state to go hunting. You're losing that income from people coming from out of state to hunt hogs. I mean, talking to my buddy that does it for a living, hunting hogs, most of the people that come to hog hunt are from outside of Texas, outside of Oklahoma. They're from the Northeast, from the far north, Minnesota, Wisconsin. People are coming from all the way up there to come to Texas to shoot a hog because they don't have them in the northern states. And so they come to Texas and they spend their hard-earned money. They buy a Texas license. They do all that kind of stuff. In my mind, if Texas really wants to eradicate the hog problems, they really, really need to figure out a way to get your everyday hunter, put a bounty on them. Bring an
Right.
ear in. Every hunter that brings a hog ear in, or a piece of the hog, then they get a credit towards their next license, or they get
Sure.
a small feedback from the state, even if it's small. I mean, even if it's like 50 cents for a hog ear. I mean, who wouldn't like to go shoot 10 or 15 hogs and still make a few bucks?
Right.
You're
Exactly.
having a good time doing it and making some money. In my mind, you give an incentive for me to go shoot something. I already have an incentive. It's called hunting. But now you give me more of an incentive to go hunt them.
Right.
I'm gonna hunt them hard.
Raymond is saying they already do tails in some counties at $5 per. Hasn't
Right.
seen much in the change of the population, but we've got Jason over here like, well, poisoning's terrible. Why not just give a bunch of veterans free range for a few months, And I think
Right.
that's the. I mean, you could. How does that work? Is it they're so prolific? I mean, I don't know much about the tags in Texas or the licenses that you would need for that type of thing. How does that? Is it a free
Well,
for all? You know?
well, you don't have to have a tag for hogs. You just have to have a license,
Yeah.
a regular hunting license. And if I remember correctly, Texas is one of those states that veterans hunt for free. So it's a free hunt for a vet. Um,
Yep.
and let me tell you, I mean, there's not too many places in Texas you can't go that you could probably knock on a farmer's door that know they have hogs, that they're not going to say, sure, go shoot the hogs you want.
Yeah. There you go, Jason. Get down to Texas. So, um, yeah, Raymond is also saying that Louisiana is looking into a birth control for hogs, which might be a better option.
Uh,
I don't know anything about that. Do you?
yeah, I've heard of them trying to do like a contraceptive of some sort for
Yeah,
hog dogs, but that goes back to how do you keep it just to the hogs?
I know.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, and eventually, do you sterilize an entire generation of the hog population? You know what I
correct,
mean?
correct, and
So,
it's a lot of it had to, and like we did here in Oklahoma, and it was kind of a big thing, but um, we limited. There's a lot of what we call high fence ranches that specialize in just hog hunts, and so they go and trap wild hogs and they transport them to their ranches. Well, what the state proposed was charging a fee, and you had to have a license to transport them, but also they was wanting to every hog you released into those high fence ranches, they wanted you to tag them or somehow mark them. So that way, that if they got out of that pen and say it ran down the road 5 miles and a farmer shot it and it had that person's tag on it, then the state could hold them liable for transporting these animals and not keeping them contained.
oh, mm-hmm.
That didn't go over well, obviously, with some of the ranchers and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that never did go very well and didn't get passed right. But like
Uh-oh, I think I lost you for a minute. Can you hear me?
at night with thermal imaging scopes,
There we
spotlights,
go.
like that. And so, Texas is doing a lot better job of curtaining the problem. It's just the problem is they let it go too long, and now it's out of control. So now all they're doing is managing it. Now we got to figure out a solution to start eradicating it and dropping the numbers. When you have five, and then you realize, okay, it could be a problem, and now you get 2 million, and you really want to start doing something. Well, the solutions you come up with for 2 million at the rate that they breed,
Right.
all you're doing now is you're not whittling down that 2 million. You're just keeping that number from growing. So now we got to figure out a way to how to whittle down that 2 million.
Right.
And so
Right. Right.
that's going to be that's going to be a long process with anybody in any state. It's just, I think the biggest thing is we got to figure out an incentive way to make this work, where people go out and hunt them, make them hunt them, or give them a
Yeah.
reason why to go hunt them. If we got to increase the bounty, increase the bounty. Start
Right.
let some of these insurance companies that have to pay for crop damage and car damage and stuff like that from hitting hogs, and these farmers turning in crops because these hogs are tearing them up. Get the insurance companies behind it. Get
Yep.
some of the bigger companies behind it to sponsor some of this stuff to start eradicating them. I mean, I
Yeah.
spent I spent 45 minutes in a helicopter by myself with a semi-automatic weapon, and I killed 42 hogs and 6 coyotes.
Geez.
45 minutes,
45 minutes.
right? Can you imagine what I could have done for half a day?
I know. Oh, geez, that's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, you know me, and I'm a fisherwoman more than anything else, but so down here in Florida, we have an invasive species of lionfish, and if you
Right,
bring in 5 lionfish, if you go and spear 5 lionfish, they'll actually up your bag limits on some of the more desirables.
right.
So it'd be interesting to see something like that happen, almost a cross species type of deal. It's worked okay in Florida. They're just tough to get and find, but
Well, just like we learned this last week here in Florida too. There's so many invasive species here,
yeah,
but um, snakeheads.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, the wildlife departments, they're doing their jobs of what they need to do. It's just sometimes they get their hands tied by different lobbyists and different
sure,
special
sure,
interest groups, and so it makes it tough. And then when you have one group saying no, we want this, and another group saying no, we want that, you can never come up with a solution. So it's tough, but I think there's a solution out there. It's just someone's got to just stand up and say, okay, this is what we're going to do.
right, absolutely. Well, we've only got a couple minutes left. I did want to see if you wanted to chat a little bit about some of your volunteer work that you and I had talked about before. You certainly don't have to. I know that you were talking about the Safari Club stuff, and I didn't know if you wanted to get into that at all.
Sure. Yeah. Not only do I sit on the board of directors for Safari Club, but we do a lot of stuff with NWTF, which is National Wild Turkey Federation. And obviously being a hunt and fishing show, we're huge into conservation and making sure that our kid, and your kids and their kids have the right to hunt later on down the road. And so we're really fond of those groups, but also we do a lot of stuff with an organization here in Oklahoma called Warriors for Freedom. And basically what they are is they help vets get back into the real world. And how they do that, they do it with different activities, whether it be golf tournaments or motocross, or they take them to MMA events. Right now they have a scuba diving school that allows these groups to learn how to scuba dive and stuff like that. And it's more or less, it's not necessarily with a physical injury. A lot of it is the mental aspect of some of these vets coming home and readjusting to life. And so where we come in is that they started a hunting program a few years ago, and so we jumped in on that, helping them out. And just last week, I was voted in to be part of the board of directors of Warriors of Freedom now, and I'm doing a lot of the hunting side of it. We do an annual dove hunt every year. We take vets out. We do an annual fishing trip. We take 50 vets out every year and put them with pro fishermen or fishing guides and let them fish for the day. We did a duck hunt this year. We took 2 deserving vets on their first ever duck hunt and a hog hunt. And so we're going to line up some more stuff coming up the next year to try to take more vets out and get them out hunting and fishing and stuff like that. And even if it's a vet that maybe, likes to hunt but never had the opportunity to, we're going to give them that opportunity. Or maybe it's a vet that's always hunted and fished. It's just hadn't had the time to get back into it. And so we're going to use the outdoors as a platform to get, these brave young men and women, back into society and back into their everyday life.
Very cool. And we're going to come full circle on this now. So Jason would like to know if you know anybody that would sponsor a group of vets to help remove hogs anywhere from a few days to a week, almost like a bring a vets down to Texas type of deal as a trip. Are there any organizations that you know of or any groups or anything like that you might have contacts with?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously Warriors for Freedom, we have, I've got a master list of probably 85 vets right now on the list to 95 vets on the list right now that are wanting to do some kind of hunting or fishing trip. So anytime that we can come up with anything like that where we can have people offer us locations or properties or anything like that we could take these vets hunt, because obviously we're a nonprofit, and so anytime that we can cut our costs down to get these vets outside, then we're definitely going to do it.
Okay, perfect. Is there anywhere that people where would people go for more information on these organizations that you're talking about?
You can look up warriorsfreedom.com, or actually it's .org if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's .org. And then SCI, just Safari Club International. You can find out everything about them, just www.safariclubinternational. And then NWTF is www.nwtf.com.
Okay, cool. So let's wrap it up then with if someone listening were interested in kind of mirroring what you did, going out there and maybe he's got a completely different spin, on something outdoors related and wanted to launch his own show, what would you tell him? What advice would you give him, or her? Geez.
Right. Well, first I would say be careful what you wish for.
Right.
But second thing is if that's a dream and that's a passion of yours, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Don't let anybody say that you'll never will be able to do it. I would say just go out and chase your dream, and the only person that can keep you from doing that is yourself. So go out and do it.
Awesome. Very cool. I think that about does it for us tonight. We've had a great time. I thank you so much, Jon and Stacy. Stacy, if you're still on the line, thank you. We appreciate you guys being here, and we're really looking forward to Season 8. You want to do a little reminder of when Season 8 launches and where and how to find out information, all that good stuff?
First Sunday in July. I don't know the exact date, but it'll be Friday nights, 11:30 Eastern Time and 10:30 Central Standard Time, p.m.
Cool. Awesome. Very nice. Well, thank you very much. We are looking forward to that. Everybody who's on the line tonight, I have recorded this. I know that there have been a couple questions about this. We have recorded the whole session, and just like every month, I will be tomorrow uploading it to the SDI YouTube channel, posting it to the Facebook page. Jon will make sure you have a copy of that in case you want to share it on your social media networks as well. Everybody, thank you so much for being with us. Jon, thank you so much for being with us. And we'll look forward to hearing from you guys soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, guys. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Keep an eye out on your inbox and the SDI Facebook page for information on next month's webinar. If you have questions for me, shoot me an email, Jennifer, JENNIFER, @sdi.edu. We'd love to hear from you if you have any ideas on future webinar topics or have any comments or concerns, questions for us, anything like that. We appreciate your time. Thanks very much, guys. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next month.